Hello. Hi guys. Okay. Let me just get situated. Look, I got this. Oh, hello. Hold on. I'm gonna change my background here. All right. Well, I had this set up on my phone. You were able to see a lot more. Okay, there we go. Hey, Jerry. Oh, you can't see the cards. Okay, so I pulled some cards. That's what I wanted you guys to see. Let's see if I can. Hi, Safet. How are you? Okay, so you can't really see the cards, but maybe I can move them over here. You can see them a little bit. A little bit. Hi, I am doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Okay, so I've been doing these tarot readings on, I'm trying to show all my mess here. I've been doing these tarot readings on YouTube, but YouTube like always kicks me out and sucks. So I figured, why not? I'm just trying to make my background look prettier. Like, who really cares? But I do, obviously. Look at my feather pen. Look at my feather pen there. My fancy quilt pen, which isn't even showing. Fine, good to see you shining. Hi. I am literally shining because I have really good lighting right now. My eyes look super blue. I just put this little wall up, this little backdrop wall. It's cute, right? This is gonna piss me off though. This guitar not looking right. You know? Okay, so I did a reading for this week that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm probably gonna put this also up on, where are all the many platforms that I have? Probably gonna put it up on YouTube, maybe even IGTV, I don't know. The Perfectionist, yeah. Okay, so I've already done the reading just to save some time for us. I've already done the reading here. So because this is, I love when, you know what it is I've been like really in tune today. So I've gotten like a good reading. I've got our date up. You can't really see it. I thought this would be nice to put up so people know what the date is. We've got some of our cute little, hey Nancy, who's all with me? Say hi, because I see people on, and only 2 people have said hello thus far. So come say hello. Come say hello. I love you too. Okay, so because this week is a Valentine's Day, by the way, like my shirt, it says slay. Just thought I'd show that off. It's so funny because you keep seeing the number 7. Good. Well, 777 means that you'll be rewarded for all your hard work. So at least that's the angel number. If you equate it with something different, then it means whatever you think it means. Jeffrey! Jessica! Holy shit, hey! Jessica, I went to middle school with her. Stop it. I'm like little kid when I see someone doing card readings. Oh, good! Yay! Okay, so I've already done the card reading. I will show you the deck that I pulled from. I just feel like, honestly, I've been doing these on YouTube, and of course I love my YouTube followers. Most of you guys are YouTube followers of mine, but I just get so much more action on my Facebook Lives. Jessica. And YouTube just sucks. So here I am on Facebook Live. But yeah, 77777. I just put up a video of me doing a live performance at like an open mic last Thursday, and I got so much like love. You guys were so awesome. And what I love, let's just talk about like my own personal growth. What I love about it is that it doesn't feel like validation. The fact that people love the song. People were really, really supportive and really just felt connected to the song. what I feel is like, it's like separate from me in a good way. It's like, I have something on me. It's not like, oh, I need this validation. I need people to tell me that my song is good. Like, it's nothing like that. I'm just like, I'll just share this. I'll put it up. The open mic set was awesome. Thank you. And I'll just put it up. And for people, like, I don't know. It's almost, it's like, I feel separate from it, but it also feels really good for people to enjoy that. When it comes to my music, I've always been like, my worth has really been attached to my music. That's kind of interesting to hear myself say that out loud because I've never said that, but that's a true thing. My worth has been attached to my music and my musical talent. And this time around, even though I was terrified when I sang that song, I really was just like leaning on the talent of my voice. I just like knew standing up there, no matter how nervous I was, that was my anchor. You know, I was like, I'm going to anchor into my talent. And, you know, I just kind of, yeah, thank you, Nancy. Just kind of leaned on that, accepted that. And when I shared it, it really wasn't about like, oh, am I good enough? Am I this? And in the past, it has been like, oh, am I good enough? Yada, 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 yada. And I just love that people, same with like Witch Baby Wednesdays. Like these are things that I love. It's stuff that I love. I wrote that song because I love it. And I don't really need people to love it too, but it's really cool that we can both love a song, you know? We love you and your gifts you share with, oh, thank you, Debbie. Even though that's not your name on here. Timothy, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's just nice to be able to enjoy it with people rather than have like my worth be attached to it and all this weird shit. Okay, so let's get into the reading. I don't know if this is going to be backwards when I put this on, like when I download this and put it on YouTube, but sorry about that. This is the Cosmos deck by Light Gray Art Lab. Amazing deck. There's also a new deck that I want to get. There's a couple new decks that I want to get that I should share. God, I can't even think of the Visionaries Tarot deck. Please. It's so beautiful. It's all black, and I think it's even like silver. It's just all black and silver. That's it. But really beautiful. Right up my alley. If you travel on the dark side, you'll like that one too. Okay, so let's get into the reading. Because it is Valentine's Day week, I figured I would do a reading about heart opening. So the questions that I asked are, what's blocking my heart from being open, and what do I need to open my heart to? You guys, I just want to share. I'm so excited to share this one with you because it couldn't be any more perfect. I called in the angels and a couple witch sisters. They were sitting right here. One witch sister was sitting right here in particular. And it's funny too because I was like, I know I'm babbling. I got the zombie one. Oh, I like that one too. What's that one called? It's like neon, right? Is that the one? Are we talking about the same one? It's like black and like neon colors, a lot of like pop art. That's one that I wanted too. And it's sold on Etsy, right? Only on Etsy. Tell me what that one is. Okay, so let's get into the reading. You'll love how interesting this is. So what I want to just say first and foremost is, of course, the people on my Facebook, I love you guys. You, of course, are going to connect with this. But if you're watching this and you don't know me or whatever, you click this video for whatever reason, if this is on YouTube and you don't know me, just set the intention for this reading. I mean, you know that you were here for a reason. If you're still here, if you listen to me babble for those first few minutes and you're still here, there's a reason you're still here. There's some sort of message here for you. It's like a 50s version. Yeah, figure out the name of that and tell me, because I think I might know which one you're talking about. Yeah, so let's get into the reading. Set the intention that the message will be for you. That you hear. Well, here's another thing is that sources constantly, everything you watch, everything you consume, everything you listen to, the world around you, everything you're looking at right now, there are messages all around you. So it's not a matter of this message being for you. It's a matter of your openness and your receptivity to hearing every message that's coming to you at any given time. So you can choose to make this a message for you or not. So there's that. Okay, so when I asked about in the position of just the questioner, so this basically is overall theme, what you're going to be going through this week, and myself as well, because these readings are always for me too. We pulled the Pluto card. So Pluto is death. It's the end of a cycle. Pluto is the ruler of the underworld. There was something really beautiful about this when I pulled it, though. It felt really beautiful to me for many reasons. It felt very Romeo and Juliet when it comes to death and love. There's just this sort of like very dark romance that came with this Pluto card. There will be ending of cycles, but for a clarifier, we got the 10 of Wands. So when we think about Pluto, and I started to read in the book, I read the guidebook, and it talks about, you know, Pluto is the last, it's actually not a planet anymore, but it's the last planet in the solar system. Is it the 9th planet? I don't know. It's number 9, but 9 is the ending of cycles, right? So we're just about to end the chapter. 10 is like it's done. 9 is we're closing the chapter. When you think about when you've reached the end of the pulled death card this morning, yeah. So when you've reached the end of the solar system, this is the end. This is over. It's finality, right? What happens is there's this period where you have to say goodbye to the solar system. But the beauty of saying goodbye to this solar system that you've been familiar with, right? Like you've been living on Earth forever, for as long as you've existed. But in comparison to the multiverse and the universes that are out there, this tiny little solar system seems so small. And there's this beauty, it's almost like we're growing out. It's like we have to say goodbye to this stage of our lives, to this smallness, to this sort of ego. So it's almost like the death of the ego, right? Like when the death card is a beautiful thing, death card isn't always a bad thing. When it's a beautiful thing, it's like the death of the ego is a really beautiful thing. So as long as we're human beings, there will never be a final death of the ego. That's when you die. Like when you die, that's when there's a real death of the ego. But like we can have the death of the ego in certain aspects of our lives, right? So maybe when it comes to the heart and opening up of the heart, there's going to be a small little death of the ego. We're going to lay down a lot of burdens. This feels like anger to me because it's the wands, because it's fire energy, and because it's coming in with this death card. It's almost like there's a smallness to anger. Anger is also sort of like a secondary emotion. There's so much more behind anger. And just like when we leave the solar system and we say goodbye to this solar system and we travel outside, there are worlds upon worlds. Oh my God, this is the shift I keep feeling. Cool. There are worlds upon worlds upon worlds. There are layers of new universes out there beyond this solar system, beyond this smallness. So when we move beyond our anger and we peel back that layer and we realize, we let that be the death of how the ego expresses in like anger. And I mean toxic anger. There's ways to move through anger. Sometimes anger feels uplifting and powerful, but we've got some toxic anger in the heart chakra. Trust me, sister, so do I. when we pull back, when we move beyond the smallness that is anger. Anger is a very human emotion. It's beautiful. We love it, you know, but it can be very limiting. And we're moving beyond the solar system, right? Beyond the universe that is within us to go venture into new universes. We are expanding. We can't even deny that. And so it's okay for us to say goodbye. There's also a really beautiful thing. So in the guidebook, I was reading a little bit about Pluto, and Pluto is the god of the underworld. And they said that when this is probably Greek mythology, back when that whole myth came to life, people were so afraid of Pluto, even though he was not a dark or evil god in any way. He just was the ruler of the underworld. people were so terrified of him that they wouldn't even speak the name Pluto. They wouldn't even speak his name for fear that they would take his life, or that he would take their lives. I think that we've moved, that's also an ego thing. Like, I think that we've moved beyond that. I think that, you know, beyond this universe and beyond our own current awareness is so, it's just, there are other worlds out there. And unless we move beyond it, unless we move past that fear and the burdens of limitation and creating ourselves, it's like, you can have your world is as big or as small as you choose to be aware of. Does that make sense? So like, your world can be, I was just thinking about that, how like my world recently has been feeling very small. Like, I'm very much just like this, the world that I'm seeing in front of me is my world. It's much like children. Like, children don't really, in their human form, don't have any aspect of the universe. They don't really understand that there is a whole world out there in this physical realm that we can explore. And I personally have been feeling very small. And I think when you're a small child, you live in a very small world, but you don't realize it. It seems big to you because this is a whole new thing, you know? But I think that right now, and I know this is like a really big thing to talk about happening in 1 week, but I think that we're shifting into that. We're shifting into remembering that we're not small. I'm from Holland, believe me, it's bigger. Oh, I love that. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that the death is coming from the burden of shrinking yourself down, of dimming your light. That's the death. The death is, because this is about burden, right? And it's just this burden you're carrying. It's almost like, too, I'm getting like turning your back on yourself. Like, you have to actually turn your back on yourself to carry your burdens of limitation and limiting beliefs. You have to actually turn your back on the expansion of your soul in order to do that. The last thing I was going to say, there's this really beautiful energy about Pluto, about the underworld, about death, because there is really no death. And what it feels like to me, something that's really been prominent for myself in the last even couple days, but the last couple months, and I'm finally getting to this point where I'm ready to do this, is that dark space. There's all these dark places. I've definitely been in a very dark place since around September. Not now, but I was in a pretty dark place for a little while there, and I'm now ready to transcend that darkness. So in the underworld, there's this beautiful transcendent energy. Persephone is somebody that I love to work with, and she also rules the underworld seasonally. She's a seasonal ruler. But she works, that's somebody that you would work with to overcome and transcend any kind of darkness. So there's a beauty there, and it's really about transcending that smallness. Okay, so I asked these 2 questions. It's just couldn't be any more perfect than these. I asked these 2 questions. What's blocking our hearts? And what do we need to open our heart up to? Sorry, I'm getting a call. Even though I swore I put my do not disturb on. Okay, so when I asked what's blocking our hearts, I got the Hercules card. Okay, so the first thing that came to me is like, we're all just being hard asses. Like, you're being a bunch of hard asses. Knock it off. Knock it off. You're being a bunch of hard asses. That's just what like really strongly kept coming to me. And I even was asking, like, does it mean something else? Nope. We're too masculine. And then, of course, for a clarifying card, I pulled the Emperor card, which, because I'm asking questions like what is blocking, this is more like the negative aspect of the Emperor, which is too much masculine energy, too much I'm trying to be, and also like, I guess what people nowadays would call toxic masculinity, but that even us as women and females, people who identify with the female, but I'm so good at being a hard, listen, I know, if you follow me, you're all a bunch of hard asses and don't even act like you're not. Like, we're spiritual, we love hard, but we are also a bunch of hard asses. Because, you know, when you've been through a lot, when you are Hercules, like, listen, when it comes to our heart center, We have endured a lot. We have been warriors. We have been through battle. Hercules is no joke. Look at him. He's like, I just fucking slayed this giant snake. I think this is Draco. Whoever he slays, I don't know. And you know, there was a time and a place for our hearts to be Hercules, right? There was a time and a place where, I mean, I'm definitely coming out of a space where I needed that masculine energy to protect me, right? So the masculine is the protector. That is the job of the masculine in the feminine. So when you are accessing your own, we all have masculine and feminine energy. It's so interesting that I constantly seem to be talking about masculine and feminine energy in my tarot readings. I don't know why, but it's absolutely the divine. And I feel like I know they're telling me right now that something's going to come of that they're just leading me down a pathway that's going to be something. Maybe a full integration of self. I don't know. We'll see. But the masculine side of you comes in to protect the feminine, which is loving, all flowing. Like the feminine is just like, woo, I just want to be here. I want to be open. I want to be loving. I want to be here. But then there's lots of people on the physical world that are like ill-intended or whatever. And the masculine needs to protect that so that the feminine side of you can be like this and the masculine can protect you so that the feminine doesn't get harmed, right? But it's time to like lay down your sword, you know? That's what's blocking you right now. It's like, we can open up a little bit. We can at least find some spaces to open up. So when I ask what we need to open our heart to, and also know that this isn't just romantic stuff, you know, but what we need to open our heart to, we pulled the Hierophant, which in this deck is the Taurus card. So this talks about like, so what I was feeling, at least in how it's being reflected in my own life, is there really was a lot of pain that my heart has endured. And it's almost like it's time to kind of lay down the armor a little bit. My friend Danielle Mercurio, she just posted like maybe a week or two ago on her Instagram that she's outgrown her armor. And I just loved that. She's outgrown her armor. That's what this feels like, that like, you know, it's kind of blocking things. So it's almost like take the armor off, not completely, but it's like, it's time to think about like, let's just open up a little bit. And the Taurus is it's really about self-discipline, but in a really beautiful way. It's like, that's where we want to open our hearts to and focus our attention on. If you want to be the master of anything, and what you want to be obviously is probably the master of you. If you want to be the master of you, if you want to be the master of you, of your what you love, of your craft, if you want to be the master of your craft, you have to work on your craft. So the Hierophant and the Taurus energy, it's about focusing, opening your heart up to having a methodical practice. For me, I've been really gently, I'm not like killing myself. It's not like it's January, New Year's Eve, we're all going to start going to the gym like maniacs. No, it's not like that. It's like every day I get a little bit better. Every day I sharpen my tools a little bit more. Because I'm coming out of this period where I'm rusty, I'm dull, I'm like, my tools are rusty and dull. And I can't all of a sudden, even though there was a time where I was like on my shit and I was ready for anything at any time because I was so prepared to be the fullest expression of me at any given time because I practiced being who I was. And what I mean by that is also like practicing my music, my vocal exercises, practicing working on your craft. If your craft is instruments, playing an instrument, you got to play that instrument every day. And it's not like you need to be the master of it right now, but it's about opening up to the joy of methodical practice in your craft. Does that make sense to you guys? So the joy of like, So me going to an open mic, I've been wanting to go to an open mic forever. And I've just been like, I'm not, just weird about it. And so it's like, go to the open mic because you love singing, because and it's not even, for me, it's not even about that. There's so many more things, meeting people, connecting with other artists, For you, if it's like, play the instrument because that music is your soul. Like, that's in alignment with your soul. Do the thing and do it every day. Like, I think we take for granted giving ourselves that gift, but that is a gift, especially being a mother. For me, and the last card that we pulled is going to be really will click with a lot of you. For being a mother, for me allowing myself to go to an open mic, I did not realize how big and great of a gift that was to me. I ended up hanging out. I met a new musician and ended up hanging out with them until 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting in my car, eating Wawa, having a deep conversation about the feminine and masculine, political issues, life, all of that. And I loved it. And it seemed like something so small and something so minuscule. And even to be like, oh my God, I was up till 4 a.m. Like, that doesn't feel like self-care to me. But to me, that was me serving my soul. And so it's really about, sorry, I'm getting a message. Okay. So it's really about opening your heart to saying, I will take the time to give time to my craft, because that is a gift to myself. It's like, we really take it for granted. We really do. I take it for granted. Being a mom, I take it for granted. I haven't done an open mic in a while, been studio bound, but totally get your sentiment and have a push-pull feeling about doing it. Yeah, and I think like this Taurus card and what we want to open our hearts to this week is just like, if you dedicate yourself to taking 5 minutes to take some form of an action towards your craft for 5 minutes a day. Doesn't matter what your craft is. It doesn't have to be like my craft. It could be whatever it is that you loved. It could be connecting with other human beings. It could be, it's probably going to be a lot more personal to you. It could be making jewelry. It could be whatever. I mean, honestly, it could be gardening. It could be whatever the F your craft is. But it's your soul's craft. Understand that. It's not just like, it's your soul's craft. Whatever the craft of your soul is. It could be witchcraft, it could be anything. But also the Hierophant is about learning traditional ways of doing something. So it's like, if you need to study something, this is a good week to just start, like, set an intention that, for me with witchcraft, every day for 5 minutes, I'm going to read a book on witchcraft. Not because I have to force myself to do it, but because I have to remember to follow my craft, to follow my joys, because life is happening, pulling me away from it. So it's more like you're saying, I am dedicating 5, 10, 15, even an hour, whatever feels good to you, this amount of time a day for soul crafting. Soul crafting. So the other card that I pulled for the clarifying card is, of course, the Empress. So what's blocking us? The Emperor. And what do we need to open our hearts to? The Empress. Hello. 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 It's kind of funny too, because I've been listening to this podcast called Strange Magic. It's a good podcast. You guys should, if you're into the magic thing. I've been doing the witch thing on Instagram, or excuse me, YouTube, Instagram too, but YouTube, I've been doing Witch Baby Wednesdays. You might be interested in it, but they've been talking about the tarot. And today they were talking about the Empress, and it just made me remember stepping into this Empress energy. And so the thing about the Empress is, especially that I am a mother, because the Empress is the mother in the deck, when you're not paying attention to your craft, when you're not honoring that feminine energy within you, all of us have it. It's the creativity within us, okay? The Empress is the creativity. The Empress, the mother, we are the creator. We create life through our bodies, through our physical vessel. The mother creates life. We are the creators. We are the nurturers. If you're creating a project in your life, you are tapping into your own Empress energy. Whether you are male, female, doesn't matter. Anywhere in between does not matter. You are tapping into, when you're creating, when you're nurturing a project, when you're incubating something, you're tapping into your own Empress energy. But there was something as a woman and a mother that I was missing, because recently I've been feeling, in the last couple months, I definitely got away from myself for a little while there. You know, some shit happened. I've talked about it. I've been feeling stressed out, like mom stress. And I don't get mom stress. I mean, only in the last few months have I gotten mom stress. And what I realized is I cut myself off from one thing that is very like patriarchal of me, very societal masculinity, not real masculinity, toxic masculinity, not real masculinity, patriarchy. I was disallowing myself pleasure. So what they were talking about in the podcast, Strange Magic is the name of that podcast. I don't know if I mentioned that. Strange Magic, it's on all the platforms. Spotify is what I watch it on. What they were talking about is when the embodiment of the Empress herself, like Beyonce was a perfect example of, and I think even Beyonce, totally Beyonce after children, Beyonce after her Lemonade album, like Lemonade Beyonce, and from then on is definitely Empress, because she was embracing not only her power, her anger, her expression of all of her emotions, but of course she was a nurturing mother, and she was embracing her sexuality. So what I realized is, like, opening my heart up to pleasure and permitting myself to seek and experience and receive pleasure is when we open our hearts, we become the receiver. And that is the embodiment of the Empress, is to receive, and especially receive pleasure. So I don't think that it's something that we equate motherhood with in this society, in this day and age, and in many, many ages. We don't equate motherhood with pleasure. But the Empress is both the mother and the embodiment of pleasure receptivity. She allows herself to be pampered. She's just in these big comfy robes. She's sensual. What they were saying in the podcast was she both gives love to all, makes love, creates life, and makes love. Like she gives love to all. Like what I envision is that, and I feel this with myself and I deny it within myself, that I have a sensual and sexual connection with a lot of men. There's even been women I've had a sexual connection with. There's this energetic sensuality, and I've denied it, or I've judged it because of societal-ish. And that phrase, I've outgrown my armor, I feel the same. Like I'm outgrowing these egoic limiting beliefs, these burdens, right? And you guys, this is the theme of this week. Like you in your own way will be outgrowing, you'll be outgrowing the smallness that your ego is telling you are. Whereas the Empress comes out and says, the ego says, I'm only allowed to love one person, and I can't love that person who has another person, right? The ego says that. Oh no, that's wrong. I can't do that. Like, I'm a whore if I do that. Especially women will say that. But the Empress says, oh honey, but I love all. And it goes beyond the physical. This is a spiritual, sensual, all embodying everything. So it's about, for you, it might not be that extreme. For me, that's where I'm at right now. For you, it could just be allowing yourself to express in a in a freer way, just to express more freely, where you're not allowing your ego, love your reading. Good, Natasha. Hi, by the way. Where you're not allowing your ego to limit you. So this week is about the death of limitation. And there we are. We've come full circle. Too funny. I'm rather tangled in this lately. What are you tangled in? Natasha, LOL. By the way, I'm drinking, I guess this is like a Valentine's Day thing. Starbucks. I don't get paid for this, but I should. Starbucks. You should sponsor me. Starbucks should sponsor me. If anybody knows anybody who works for Starbucks or works for the, like, just tell them, reach out to me. You guys should sponsor me. Many loves. Oh, but do you see, like, let's talk about this for a minute. We're going to have a discussion about this for a second, okay? But let me just say what I'm reading, what I'm doing here. Great speaker. I love listening to your teachings. Thank you. Thank you, Safet. This is the cherry mocha. I asked them to put, like, not too much cherry in it. It's pretty good, but it's very Valentine's, like chocolate cherry, you know, just in case you're wondering. So love is an interesting thing. So that's the reading for anyone who wants to continue an interesting conversation about love and sexuality and limitations and patriarchy and all that kind of stuff. You can stick around for that. Natasha, you crack me up. Good, I'm glad. Okay, so yeah, that's the reading. If you guys want to go, if you want to stay, stick around. So love is such an interesting thing. When you are an empath, which many of my followers are empaths, and you also have a 5D awareness, when you have a spiritual awakening, when you understand that you are an expression of love, things tend to get a little weird when we think about the patriarchal idea of relationships and love and all of that. That 5D consciousness of relationships and sexual expression and desire and all of that does not, cannot, will not ever fit into that. The, quote, traditional, many religious, not religious, really Christianity and Catholicism that said this is the way it's supposed to be. Put your motherfucking chastity belts on. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm not familiar with, like, I'm not familiar with a lot of other religions, but I definitely know older religions weren't cutting biddies' sexuality off. Like, that wasn't happening. Ancient Egypt, you know, women and female sexuality was definitely revered and sacred and honored. I mean, female life comes from female sexuality. Can we, like, what's happening? This is where we in, like, Western society are so crazy and screwed up, don't you think? Like, I don't know. I would love to hear your opinion. This is just my opinion, so I'm not, like, forcing you to feel the way I feel, but I think that when we really think about it, you know, there is no life without female sexuality. And yet our society still to this day is trying to hinder and shame female sexuality. I mean, we straight up shame female sexuality, and we do it so innately we don't even realize that we're doing it. Like, I mean, even me looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I can't be too sexual. I can't, like, today I decided, you know what? I'm going to express my Empress self. I'm going to express my sexuality, because what happened is we have that toxic masculinity where women who were expressing themselves openly then were sexually abused, which was my case, right? So expressing myself sexually, I not only societally got this idea that that was a wrong thing to do, but also experientially. Like, I don't think that boys, because the female sexuality has been so oppressed, boys don't know what to do with it. And they're like, you know, like, I don't know what to do with this. And so they end up forcing themselves on women or girls or whatever, and not really not knowing what to do. And I think it's a beautiful thing that I can stand here today having been sexually abused and raped and had many sexual traumas in my life, and know that and can have compassion for the men and the boys, they were all boys, well, some men, that tried to take from me something that they thought that they had to take from me, because, you know, none of us were trained, because we really oppressed that. But I think it's an interesting thing, like, who was it? Was it Jeffrey who was saying your entanglement with multiple loves? I find myself, like, I could fall in love with anybody. Not anybody, but like, I find myself connecting on a heart level, and also, I know that one, yep, same. Yeah, on a heart level and also a sexual level, which is, those are very intertwined for me. I don't want to say I very rarely can have, I don't know, it's just, for me to have a sexual connection with somebody is to also have a heart chakra connection, because I'm having a spiritual connection, because I'm aware of my own spirituality. But I also want to say that the love that you can have for somebody else is merely the love that you are. So it's not like, oh, I'm just like hooked on all these people. It's like, I'm just an expression of love. Like, you're just tuned into your Empress, like your feminine energy. Left a long-term relationship, had a crazy awakening, and holy cow, things went on fire in this area. I've been dealing with an old guilt feeling of what I deserve and what's okay, but I'm saying in this light and staying truthful. Seriously intense times. Yeah. As Frank Sinatra would say, I fall in love too easily. Yeah, and you know, artists are also creators. They're also people that are tuned in with their Empress selves. So what I think the problem is not that like we go around falling in love with people, and sometimes it is a lower vibrational ego reason for us falling in love with people, because we think that they're going to whatever, heal us, give us something. But when it's really just like, no, I just love you. Like, I just love you. And whether you're here with me or not, I just like, I love feeling that energy. For me personally, the only problem that I see is that we think that there's a problem with it. That's my personal experience thus far. I know that I don't know everything about it. I know that I'm still kind of learning. For me personally, and I think Jeffrey, you as well, and I think a lot of people, my greatest teacher is my romantic relationships, because I'm so intensely loving, because I do love intensely. Empaths, we love intensely. People that are connected with their spiritual sides, people that have an awareness of the oneness of all of us, we live with a very, very open heart and very connected to our Empress side. So we fall in love very deeply. It's hard for us to understand boundaries, I think, when it comes to love. And okay, that was a weird way of saying that. We have an awareness that there really are no boundaries, because all is one, right? And so to have that awareness, and then also understand the concept of physical boundaries, like, I think when you think about it, it's kind of what we're all doing, right? We all know that we're one on some level. We're all deeply connected to one another, and yet we choose to be this certain specific avatar and live this certain life, and maybe be with this certain person or be with this certain person. For me, I think I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I surrender it all. I kind of accept the fact that, like, if I don't live my life with a person that I'm deeply head over heels in love with, I know that I will be with them in the afterlife, or I know that I am with them now on a spiritual level, no matter what. And I think that for me, my spiritual goal, and I think my interpretation of what Abe Hicks teaches is that, you know, my goal, that's unconditional love. And that's my goal, to get to that place where I am so blissed out on just being in the love that I have for everyone. And also a theme for me today, especially just because of something that I was doing prior to getting on here, is that, Natasha, I love you. You're like, yep, yes, same. What I realize is that I cannot deny the love that I have for people. Sorry, that's I'm gonna have to go, but I can't deny that love because then I'm denying myself. Okay, I'm gonna answer the door. Actually, I'm gonna have to go because I have to answer the door, and I think that's meta. Yeah. Sorry guys, I gotta go. Sorry to end it so quickly, but I love you all. I love this conversation. I send you all love. Have a beautiful week, and I will be doing these every week. Okay,